her hand. We are so appreciative of your leadership. I thank you for not passing the baton, but for holding the baton with me for as long as I needed to be held with me until you pass it along to me. We talked about that, and I see that, and I've already feel it. I would also like to thank all of our immediate past officers. You were instrumental in the club being President Distinguished, and I know that you're continuing to work with the present officers as you transition them. And guess what? We have a new member. We started off this year with the new member. Do you know how many clubs struggle to have new members? You're continuing to pave the way to do that. And of course, this year we'll invite other clubs to come in and see how we're continuing to have new members. So thank you, past officers, and thank you those that invited our new member. If you don't know, our new member is Doris. Doris is a new member. Let's give her a round of applause. She may watch the recording. Let's say thank you and congratulations to her. And then we have a guest. We appreciate our guests. We're happy that our guests come and they arrive, and we'll just continue to show them the entrepreneur way. With that in mind, I would like to remind you to please see the District 12 news for any announcements that we have for this week. They're very important. It's important for you to know what's going on around District 12, and we appreciate you. And now it's time for us to set the stage as Roosevelt prepares to unmute. We have a Toastmaster of the day. Oh, I see a hand. Yes, ma'am. You're muted.
I am. Just point of order, you need to call the meeting to order. I call to assemble, but you call to order, so make it official.
Now you see, that's the transition as a new president coming in. So please take this as a learning opportunity, because I definitely do. I love constructive criticism. I do, and correction. We need it to move forward as entrepreneurs. I would like to call this meeting to order at now 7:03. And everything I said for the last 3 minutes still goes. And with that in mind, I would like to bring to the virtual lectern our Toastmaster of the day. Our Toastmaster of the day is also serving in a new role as an area director. I believe in D1, but she'll explain it to you. But let's please give a hand to her as she comes to the virtual lectern. Rosabelle, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm pleased to be able to be your Toastmaster of the day for today, July 5th, which is our first meeting of the Toastmaster year. Our theme for today is It's All About You, because this is what Toastmasters is about. In addition to taking on officer roles, meeting roles, and all the things we do, we who are your leaders and mentors for the new members and guests hope to keep the focus on you and what you would like to get out of Toastmasters and what you are looking forward to at each meeting. And that's why we value your input at the end of each meeting, or through emails privately if you prefer, to please tell us what you'd like to be interested in as we guide you through this next Toastmaster year as new or following continuing members of Toastmasters. I am only your VP of membership here, but each role is taken very seriously and we all work together. As VP of membership, Doris has been welcome, not yet officially inducted, but we would have that. I believe Bond is also engineered, literally engineered her dues payment and website log on and things that are in the realm of the VP of Public Relations, who Bond again this year. And all of us as team members will guide Doris, and I will also introduce the guests to not only to Toastmasters, but to entrepreneurs and our specific goals. In the next few minutes, I would like to introduce our supportive roles for the meeting, specifically the timer, to explain his role for today. We do have a pathway speech by Charles Radney, and we also have entrepreneur table topics by Randy Powell. Our timer is Mariatu Brown, who will explain how these activities are timed, as well as the evaluation. The general evaluator will be timed. Go ahead, Mariatu.
Bear with me, everyone. Okay. So the speech for the pathway speech that Charles is going to give will last us for 5 to 7 minutes. Green is for, oh my goodness.
Suzanne's speech, is that also 5 to 7 minutes, Suzanne?
Yes. Suzanne's speech is 5 to 7 minutes as well, 30 minutes for each Toastmaster to talk about their business goals, their books, podcast, and another 3 to 5 minutes for, okay, I'm gonna need help here. Having issue pulling.
Oh, well, yes, I'll jump in, Mariatu. I have to admit, today's is a slightly different structure. We do have 2 5 to 7 minute speeches, and Mariatu will show the green flag at 5 minutes, the yellow flag at 6 minutes, and the red flag at 7 minutes. There is a 30-minute grace period for overtime. For we will have a special session where each member will speak for 30 seconds about their business, blog, book, podcast, to inform the audience about their entrepreneurship. That way we can introduce guests and new members to what Entrepreneurs Toastmasters is really about. We will also have table topics by Randy Powell, and the responses will be 1 to 2 minutes. And Mariatu, I ask that you please show the the green flag at 1 minute, the yellow flag at 1.5 minutes, and the red flag at 2 minutes. And then there is a 30-minute grace period as well. For the 30 seconds, please just show the red flag at 25 seconds. And I think since we've never done a 30-second speech, we'll probably just use the one red flag right before the deadline. That'll be a tough one. Are you ready, Mariatu? Would you like some help? I'd be nervous too. This is a special one.
I would like some, please, yes.
Okay, I'll keep a 30-second timer too as we go on.
Point of order, I think you meant 30 seconds over or under, not 30 minutes. Sound like you said
yes,
30
the
minutes.
30-second grace period. That's right.
Mariatu, are you able to display the colored screens, or is that what you're having difficulty with?
You can just say the word green, yellow, red.
You're muted, Mariatu.
I am able to display the color code as well. The green, the yellow, and the red.
We're not seeing it here, so
Okay.
if
You have to show at least an object that's
yeah, you can just
green,
use colored
yellow,
things.
Okay.
or red.
Okay. I have red pen. I have green
Okay.
pen. And I have a yellow.
Yellow highlighter, right? But there you go. Okay,
Yes.
you're good.
Okay, and with that, we'll move on to this very special session for today. Each member will speak for 30 seconds about their business, blog, book, or their special entrepreneurial endeavor. Who wants to go first?
I will.
Okay, Taya.
Okay, Taya.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Taya Reed. I am a licensed professional counselor and supervisor in the state of Texas. I am the owner of Sound House Therapy, which is a fully online therapy practice that's now been serving for the last 3 years. I am also the co-host of the I Found Her podcast with my birth mother, Roz Carter, and we have just completed our first season. Check it out, ifoundherpodcast.com.
Thank you. And
I'll go next. I'll go next just to piggyback on Taya. I am the co-host of I Found Her podcast. We're having a wonderful time, Taya and I. We just finished season 1. We'll be starting season 2, and we have new programs and episodes lined up already for you to enjoy. Thank you.
Very good. Next, any hands, or should I call on people? How about Charles? And then Suzanne.
My name is Charles Z. Radney. Always put the Z in it. My company is Are You Prepared to Present? The purpose of my company is to help businesses improve their presentation skills so that when they're asking for money, they can do it properly.
Great, thank you. And Suzanne, please, next.
Good morning, fellow entrepreneurs. I have several projects on the front burners. One is crafting a TED Talk, which is scary for me, but nonetheless, we have to step into those uncharted waters. And the most important thing is to finally get and self-publish, however that happens, a book that has been on the back burner since 2006. Way too long, no more procrastinating for me. And I'm doing this under the tutelage and wonderful coaching with Randy Powell. I belong to that mastermind group, and they are invaluable assets to my adventure in entrepreneurship. Thank you, Rosabelle.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, how about Dr. Valencia?
Thank you very much. I feel like you've been kind of calling me. That's why I'm muted. My name is Dr. Valencia Jones, and I am a professor at Cal State San Bernardino, a university supervisor out of the provost's office. In addition to that, I'm also the CEO and founder of Jones Leadership Solutions. We invite the communities, growth-minded communities that value leadership. I also keynote speak, train professionals in leadership, and I'm a professional coach. Thank you. And I would like to popcorn it to our newest member, Madam Doris Moore. Welcome, and it's up to you.
Is she muted? I can't hear her, but she doesn't have the mute symbol on.
Okay, there you go. Can you hear me? Good morning.
Yes.
There you are.
Good morning, Toastmaster members and guests. My name is Doris Moore, and I'm probably the baby entrepreneur of the bunch because I have an idea. I created an LLC for my company, which is a t-shirt company called Create Your Own Sunshine, but I haven't launched it yet. The ideal around my t-shirt company is to put sunshine on your body. So to have positive imagery on your t-shirts, because I believe that through every storm, there's sunshine.
Well said, Doris. Thank you so much. And now if we may hear from Randy, we already got a little preview of what you can do and how you can help us. Let's hear more.
Hey, my name is Randy Powell, and I'm just having a ball. have launched a brand Envision Success over the last 18 months, and under Envision Success is coaching, masterminding, and a lot of other things, especially the Envision Success live event. My goal in life and my mission is to help people create the courage to get unstuck. Wherever you're stuck, I've got the tools and equipment and mindset to help you get unstuck. My name is Randy Powell. Love each and every one of you. Have a great day.
Great, perfect. Envision Success. Google it. Envision Success. Very good. Who wants to go next? All right, April.
Good morning, everyone. My name is April Gillis, and God has blessed me to launch my business through the IE Women's Business Center program. It's your time. The name of my company is We Have People for That. We help people, we help solopreneurs get clarity on how to achieve results better, simpler, and faster. So you can visit us at wehavepeopleforthat.biz. Thank you so much.
A very good theme too. It's your time. We have people for that, so let's get going. And who's next? Frankie?
Yes, I am Frankie Jones. I am owner-operator of Jones Business Solutions. My day job is bookkeeping, office management, and organization, and I specialize in QuickBooks trading and installing and setup. I am jumping into the coaching ring with health and wellness coaching with my target market as the senior community right now. And we'll talk more about that later. Thank you.
Thank you, Frankie. Okay, how about Roz, our immediate past president and founder of this club?
I spoke already, Madam
I'm
Toastmaster,
sorry.
about the podcast, but I am writing a book. I'm like Suzanne Leonard. We just take a little time on that. And I do hope to become a TEDx speaker soon. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry. And Werner, let's hear from you next, please.
Yes, I'm Werner Kantara, and I'm in the process of establishing what is known as an intentional community based on healthy living and 12-step programs. I've already had my house open before with people before COVID. I called it the Recovery House for the Inner Child, which is ACA based. For those people that are not familiar with that, that's a 12-step program on self-esteem, codependency, and emotional healing. I also then had it as Sunshine House of Healthy Living, which is based on a sober living home style of living, although I do push for what I call stage 2, which is more than just staying off alcohol, drugs, and that kind of a thing. It is really about emotional healing and changing our behaviors. And that is my plan. Thank you, Roz. Roosevelt.
Thank you. Next, Deborah, let's hear about your endeavors.
Thank you, Rosabelle. Currently, I do not have a business. I am currently assisting April with her. We have people for that. So currently, I do not have an entrepreneurship business. Maybe someday soon, but I do enjoy this club and learning a lot. Thank you.
Well, there's an opportunity to be creative and original in everything we do. And Deborah, from what we've heard of your speeches, you've got a lot of that and vision and mentorship especially. So I think even though you're not officially incorporated business, you certainly have the entrepreneurial spirit. Thank you,
Roosevelt.
And may we hear from Bond Wang, our Vice President of Public Relations. And what is your endeavor and entrepreneurship?
Yes, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Currently, I would call myself as a content creator without a clear marketing strategy, I would say. It's mostly what I'm doing as the content creator is based on the project or based on my hobbies. the last 2 years, I've been quite engaged with Toastmasters, which I'm very grateful because it kept me in the connection with my friends and society, with the whole world, because Zoom is in. But as far as the business is concerned, I create a lot of content, but not really in the marketing perspective. I need help to fund my balance for the next step. That is why I'm here. Thank you. Maybe we can hear from our guest.
Yes, I promised Dr. Lawana I was going to call on her, and then I will call on Nez. Thank you, Bon. Dr. Lawana, would you like to tell us about your work outside of Toastmasters?
Sorry about that. First of all, I know we don't apologize in Toastmasters, but I do have to. I'm not sure what was going on this morning. First, the computer didn't want to work. Then I had to find the code to get in here, and then it didn't want to let me in. So I finally have arrived. Outside of Toastmasters, I work with women who are interested in looking for a change. We've gotten to a certain point where you start thinking, what's left for me in life? What can I do? And so through journaling and creative writing, I've been able to help several people. I love doing that, just almost as much as I enjoy speaking. And those who know me know that once you get me talking, I don't know how to shut up. So you have to be careful about what you ask me.
Very
and
nice.
I'm an author, I should say. I'm also an author. I've got 3 books on Amazon, and I'm in about 10 or 12 other book compilations.
Wow. Congratulations. I like
you.
that, to find out what's left for me in life, for those of us who are retiring. And I have arrived. That's great. Well said. And Mariatu, would you like to tell us about yours? I'll time you if you'd like. Don't worry about the timing.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mariatu Brown. I'm the owner and founder of 2 Organics LLC. My company is based out in California and Nevada. We focus on enhancing our clients' looks by providing organic hair colors and organic products for their services. I am currently working on producing my own product line, and that's what I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariatu. And if we could hear from our guest, Nez, please.
Hello, everyone. I am Nerida from the Philippines. It's good evening from the Philippines. I'm quite nervous. I am new in Toastmaster. I am in search of a club to join so that I can improve my speaking. As for my entrepreneurial endeavor, I am the CEO and founder of Freelancer Powerhouse Virtual Assistants. I provide virtual admin assistance, social media management and marketing to philanthropists, authors, life coaches, spiritual gurus, and artists, or if they need virtual assistance. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Did I miss anyone, or does anyone want to add a few comments?
We need you, Nez. All us coaches and authors and what have you, we need your skills.
That's right. That's a good.
What about you, Rosabelle?
Did you go, Rosabelle?
Okay, I'll say a 30-second blurb. My husband and I started the Wentworth Norton Group, a nonprofit organization. And I am a doctor, and the nonprofit focuses on helping brain injury patients through art and music and creativity. Because I noticed through almost 35 years of practice that often patients are discharged from hospitals once they can walk and maybe talk. And we forgot about the rest of their brains, the creative part of their brain. And through creativity, people have been able to achieve a fuller potential and almost recover completely in some cases. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, and now we'll move on to the next section of our meeting. And then hear from our first speaker, a pathway speech by Charles Radney. And his project title, he's on Presentation Mastery Path. The project is Level 1 Research and Presenting. And the title of his speech is DMX said orchids, like people, take patience. I'll repeat the title. DMX said orchids, like people, take patience, by Charles Radney.
Yeah, I need to share my screen.
Yes, I believe everyone can share. Yes.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. A couple of weeks ago, I got a text message like most of you did from Roz Carter, asking me to fulfill a role in today's meeting, potentially as a speaker. I went online because I, like Randy, whenever Roz asks for something, I try to get it done. I went online, signed up as a speaker. There was a lot of work involved in that. And I had already pretty much thought of the topic itself based on some other incidents in my life. Now, after I had done that, on the 28th, which was last week, I was conducting my Attitudes in the Workplace class. It's a class that I really enjoy doing because it's a very interactive class. Over the course of that class, it's an 8-hour class, and typically the people who are sent to the class have been sent by either their HR department or by there may be one of their managers or somebody who feels they have an attitude and feel they need to be in a class like that. In doing so, as I was doing that class, and at the end of it, it's an 8-hour class, I typically play one of the videos from Les Brown. And in that particular video, Les Brown was talking about patience as a part of attitude. And in Les's very booming voice, and typically when I'm playing the video, I'm playing it for the class. I'm not playing it for myself. I'm typically doing something else at that time. And I've played this video numerous times. But on this particular occasion, I happened to hear Les when he talked about patience, he said, anyone can grow roses, but it takes patience to grow orchids. The initial thing that had me started about doing a presentation on orchids and what DMX said. My son had a t-shirt, was one of the merchandise t-shirts from his business. And on the t-shirt was a picture of DMX holding an orchid. And DMX on that particular t-shirt said, orchids take patience. Now, I'm a t-shirt kind of person. During the pandemic, when I had to go out, I had on a bright red t-shirt that on the back had a big picture of Samuel L. pointing and saying 6 feet MF. I do political shirts. But as I looked into what DMX was talking about and realized that even though he was known for his action movies, DMX really was involved in growing roses. It was something he really, really enjoyed doing. My success in roses, I've grown 20 roses. I've got 20 roses growing right now. I've got a Neil Diamond. I've got a Dark Knight. My favorite rose is what I call my rescue rose. It is a rose that was on the discount counter, if you will, at Home Depot. But when I started thinking about orchids, I, like so many other people, had gone to the farmer's market, had bought an orchid, and the orchid 2 weeks later was dead. It's kind of like us. We get involved in projects And if we don't follow through, they die. I've long been a follower of Darren Hardy. Darren Hardy wrote or was the editor of a magazine called Success for Years. And then he wrote The Compound Effect and an Entrepreneur's Roller Coaster. But whenever he was doing live presentations in his yard, he had orchids, which further tempted me to want to know more about growing orchids and realizing that orchids really do take patience. I had to learn how to buy the correct products for the orchid. All coaches will tell you that in the morning, you should have what's called your quiet time, your 30 minutes of quiet time. I use my quiet time in the morning to do my roses and to do a part of my reflection. I found that with orchids, the best way to water them is not to fast water them, but to put ice cubes on them and let it soak in slowly. Just like as we're growing, we should be constantly reading and doing things to improve ourselves on a day-by-day, sometimes slow basis. Think about the investment in time, but what's the reward? The orchid on the left and the orchid on the right are both orchids that had had leaves and had gone dormant. And through patience and just being really committed to making it work, they're both blooming. That for me was great. When you think about the reality though, just like anything else, you're going to have some great success and you're going to have some failures. Not to say I haven't had any failures in growing some of my orchids. One in the front died. Couldn't bring it back. But when you stop and think about the total investment and the reward on the investment, when I'm doing my 30 minutes a day of reading something that's going to help benefit me, and I'm sitting with my great-grandmother's watchful eyes, I've got one of my orchids right there with me. Madam Toastmaster.
Excellent, Moy. What lessons? Patience. When learning or studying, let it soak in slowly, like watering an orchid. Excellent metaphors. And now for our feedback, we'll have a round robin. Everybody can send a chat through the chat box. Does everybody know how to use that in Zoom? Send a chat message. Anybody who doesn't know, just we have to make sure everybody has a means to communicate. Nobody should hold in their ideas here. And of course, we'll also do a verbal round robin for feedback on this very nice speech by Charles. Who would like to go first? Yes, Taya, please.
Good morning again, Toastmaster Charles. Let me just say the visual of the orchid was just compelling. It drew me in. The pace of your voice, the storytelling, the part where you shared about the importance of reflection and taking that time in the morning, all of those ideas spoke so well to me. I honestly, at this point, I know we're supposed to provide some constructive criticism, but I just believed your flow, your timing, your voice, and your visuals were all perfect. Thank you so much for that today.
Thank you, Taya.
Suzanne, please give us a few comments.
Charles, like Taya mentioned, it had a flow, it had a cadence, it was soft, it was personal. The photos were great. I have an orchid of my own that's deciding to bloom or not to bloom. I'm encouraging her. Her name is Ophelia, but I probably need to get together with you and find out what I'm not quite doing for Ophelia. She bloomed once as a beautiful purple blue, but I understand the patience, and I'm almost a hovering mother over her saying, what do you need? Help, help. But the beauty of that, the taking the time, the process of having patience and the tenacity to stay with it. You know, I saw dirt and pruning shears around all the orchids that you presented. And I know that pruning is part of the process too. And in my quiet time like yours, I often ask, what do I need to let go of and what do I need to fertilize? So beautifully done presentation for us. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. And now Frankie, please.
I too love the metaphor, and there's a song that we used to sing in choir, God's not through with me yet. So please have patience, God's not through with me yet. So us people, we definitely need patience with the world. And just a point to grow on, as my good friend Marjorie Benesh nags at me all the time, when you're using presentation software, don't say, I'm going to share my screen, or just do it. You don't have to introduce it. You don't have to say, this is what I'm going to do. Just do it. Loved it. Thank you, Charles.
Thanks, Frankie.
And Mariatu, your comments, please.
Hello, Charles. Being that you are my mentor, I really enjoy the fact that your calm way of explaining and the visual part of you, the visual of the presentation made me to understand what audience is looking for, because now I'm like, I have to stop using visual part of my presentation. And also I never knew DMX was, you know, because DMX is so hardcore, nobody would have ever expected him to love roses or orchids. So I really appreciate you doing the presentation on DMX. I would have never, because the way he's so rough when he's rapping, I would have never thought of him as an orchid person. Again, thank you. I am really grateful of the tone that you have, which will make me become a better speaker watching you do your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maritu.
Thank you. And Dr. Valencia?
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Charles, the way you so eloquently painted the picture of the orchid using descriptive words was intriguing to me, in addition to the photos that you used. It definitely reminded me of a business and how we need to bloom where we're planted, but that it also takes time, energy, and effort to do so. And definitely, I said, did he say DMX? Because I was an avid DMX fan, and I said, DMX and orchids, where is this going? But it was so intriguing to see the parallels. And your face was straight, you smiled, you showed emotion, and your tone, your pitch, excellent flow. And I said, okay, this is a QS. I have to step my game up. But thank you so much for presenting it. You seem enthusiastic about it. You start off with the beginning, use family references and painted the picture. Great speech overall. Thanks.
Thank you. And last comment from Randy Powell, please.
Okay, so I'm gonna crack the egg, and Brother Charles knows I love him to death, but I gotta tell you, I'm a jazz fiend. I've heard DMX somewhere. I didn't know if it was BMX as a bike or DMX. I'm waiting on who is DMX. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not a rapper, not been into rapping, never been into rapping. So I had the question like, okay, who is DMX? But I got to tell you, everything that everyone else said, the visuals were popping, they were clear. And then you mentioned Les Brown, brother. And here's the thing about Les Brown, I love Les, but I always think when I have to think of Les Brown, I think you got to be hungry, you got to be going for it. And when you said that you slow down and you use ice and slowly feed. I started thinking Les Brown says you got to be hungry, but in case of patience and orchids, you got to feed them slowly and care for them slowly and be patient with them. So I thought the metaphor and everything you said was right on, but I was still like, who the heck is DMX?
I'm with you, Randy. I'm still back there with Lionel Hampton and Teddy Wilson. Okay. Thank you all
I'll
for your
send the link
comments.
in the chat so you can get a visual of the hardness of his music.
I will. I have to Google it. And now we'll hear from Suzanne Leonard and her speech. I don't have the title and project or path. If you could please tell us about your speech, Suzanne.
Well, I will tell you a bit about that. I sent it a couple of emails because it didn't get on the agenda, but I am working on, dynamic leadership. This is a level 3 project. Its title is Inspire Your Audience. It's 5 to 7 minutes, and I'm excited about presenting that to you. Thank you, Rosabelle. Oh, the title, you want the title?
Yes, the title, please.
Activate or archive? Activate or archive?
Activate or archive, Suzanne Leonard.
All right, now, this is a stretch for me, but it's an entrepreneurial stretch because I need to deliver speeches standing with just a little bit of a prop. So I am going to move there in that direction. I have 1 minute on the clock to set up my props. Toastmaster rules, 1 minute. If you're in a contest, you have 1 minute to get your things together. So let me step back and get ready to present to you orally standing up. Here we go. And hopefully you can see, I'll adjust my screen so we can see everything that's necessary. Okay, here I am. Here's my prop. Are we good? You can
we
see
don't
me.
see the prop, so angle the camera down a little bit. About yeah, that should
better.
And maybe.
Okay, it's blank. So if you say you can't see anything, you shouldn't.
Okay, we see the blank whiteboard.
Okay, you see the blank whiteboard and you see me from like the waist up.
Yes,
like
thank you.
Okay, all right, we're good. Thank you so much. Well, when you attend a conference, any of us attend a conference or a live event, we're pencil or pen ready, and we begin with a copious notes. And then we come home and we put those copious notes somewhere, and pretty much they're out of our mind because we've been there, done that, attended that, and we've got the notes. How many of you do that? You come home, you binderize it, or you think, that was great, I'm exhausted, I'll handle that later. Anyone kind of put that off? Okay, how many of you go to your notes immediately? You start thumbing through, now what did Randy say Friday and who did that? How many of you do that and begin to kind of get a little structure as to how you're going to use the time that you spent all day? How many of you, where are you? Where are those A types that immediately get to it? Of course, Dr. V, I expected you to do that, knowing who you are. All right, there's no right or wrong, but there is a more effective way to use those notes because those notes are golden. There's something in there for you that was created. Now, activate or archive. Can you see this? Can you read this? Okay, I need your, okay, good. I'll get feedback from you later, but I didn't know thick pen, thinner pen, so your feedback is going to be important to me today. When you activate something, when you take those copious notes that you have, when you activate, you choose 3 ideas. Now, I can't tell you how daunting and challenging that was for me to take 3 ideas or 3 happenings that I can give energy to from an all-day event with Randy Powell. It ranks among the impossible things that one can do. However, I achieved that just for you because it's all about you. It's all about you presenting your best self with a product that you think will help the world in some wonderful way. Got it? So from now on, no more archiving. Because you know what happens to archiving? It just gets deeper and deeper, and there's less and less energy about it. And pretty soon, what you had on those papers never happens at all. How many of you have faced that? You've had a good idea, you think, I'm going to bring forth this idea. Well, maybe someday I'll bring forth this idea. Friends, someday is not a day of the week. You cannot present someday. The power, as Eckhart Tolle told us, is in what? The present moment. Got it? Here are the 3 things that I archived. For a moment, I said, okay, and then I kept lessening the pile till I had like 3 pages of notes. Let me introduce you to the 3 wonderful things that happened to me, because I'm into activating notes. Now, here's the thing. You can have notes from anything you attended in 2023, TLI, listening to Lance Miller, which was a gift in itself at TLI. You can activate notes from 2022. Those were things and places you went. But friends, put away the notes from the 90s. It's not going to happen. You're not ever going to give that speech. You're not ever going to give that keynote. Why? Because there's no energy in it. I'm excited about presenting you today because this energy happened just 4 days ago, and I'm still writing on it. And I'll be sharing with Randy privately some things that have just clicked like this because of this. Now, can you read this? This is 3 names. These are 3 personal events that happened to me, through me, that I have activated, that are adding energy to my speeches, to my TED Talk, and to my book. First of all, I reconnected with Tammy Wilson. Now, I originally met Tammy Wilson at an event in October that I attended because I support Randy and his work in Vision Success. And I took her card and I put it in my notes. Well, now, that was last year, 2022. I said you could keep notes from that year. And when she came in, something clicked and said, there she is again. You need to get in touch with her. So her number and her name are on my to-do list, and I am calling her at 9 o'clock. I don't call before 9 or after 5 usually, but I have some energy around what she's doing and I want to participate in it. The second one, and I'll love, many of us were there. Roz was there, Dr. Lawanda. I misspelled your name, Dr. Lawanda. I'm so sorry, I visualized, but we went through a process through one of the presenters named Stephen Beaver, and he and Dr. Lawanda went through a process. And Dr. Lawanda, it was so wonderful to be a part of that process, even though you and Stephen were the call in and back. But I just loved being in your presence and your answering to the questions. So that was one of the perks. And the 3 things you take away from anything you attend, you need to partner it with your energy and move it along, because there's something in it for you. And after all, it's all about you today, right? And that's you, the entrepreneur, as you continue to process, project, and craft whatever it is that you're giving to the world. So I so appreciate being a part of that process, and kudos to you, because it was an invaluable, informative way to think about my avatar and who I want to hang with and who I want to grow with. Lady Gaga. Anyone need for me to explain Lady Gaga? Hands up. Okay. Now, Randy gave us a takeaway book. It was wonderful. And so I thought at first, Friday night, I am so tired. You know, I've been up early, we carpool. I don't have time, all those things. But I opened it up and I began reading it. And 2 hours later, how many of you say, I'm going to read this, I'm going to stay up? But my face landed on a page that was so important, not just to me, but I have a friend who is a fellow minister and also a psychotherapist, and she is beginning to form a group talking about mental health. mental health, and especially mental health as it affects those families who have been affected by suicide. Let me read you this one little part. And I called her right away and I said, you need to get a hold of Lady Gaga. She goes, what? So in the ways that rock stars move their message, she says this. She, Lady Gaga, has also been an outspoken advocate for the LGBTQ community and has used her performance to bring attention to important issues such as mental health. So right away, I'm saying, you need to get in touch with Lady Gaga. She goes, what? You never know where this entrepreneurial adventure is going to take it, but it's all about you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Suzanne. Yes, that was great. Activate our archive, learning to prioritize and learning to use and incorporate the things we are exposed to, people and experiences, very important. We'll have 3 minutes of feedback and round robin, and you can also send comments via the chat, of course. Who would like to comment on Suzanne's speech? Bond?
Thank you, Suzanne. Love your speech. I appreciate your approach of using this little bit old-fashioned paperboard, but right now, under this Zoom era, Zoom is everywhere. It does give a sense of creativity. For me, it brings me back to the college time or even the high school time. Teachers standing there and have this kind of special connection, which I haven't felt for a long, long time. I really appreciate this approach. It might be a little bit challenge. Your audio changed a little bit downward since you worked away from the computer. I guess you still use that audio device hooked to your computer. Lavalier might be helpful to give a better audio. But overall, that's a great speech. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Charles, please.
Suzanne, couple things I would like to say about your speech. I really enjoyed it. And the part about activate is something I use in the time management class. Your question to the group was about the font. What I was taught by Tom McCurley years ago is that, especially if you're going to be doing this live, is to arrive at the venue in enough time so you can set everything up and then see if the person in the back row can see it. That's going to be your key as to whether the person in the back row can see it, and make adjustments based on that.
Thank you, Charles.
Anyone else? Comments on Suzanne's speech?
If I may, real quick.
Andy, yes.
Yeah, if I may, real quick. Awesome talk. And piggybacking on what Charles says, when anyone goes somewhere live, I know online it's a little different, but the mic check and the sound check is something that if you have a audio visual team, they'll do that automatically, because Charles is right. No matter what type of stadium or seating you have, you've got to be able to be heard all the way in the back of the room and in the corners as well. And so that's really important. Very important. Yeah.
Yes, and I might add that being on Zoom, you have to remember that you're in a box, this little window of the Zoom window. And the way you did it was good, that you were asking if you fit inside that box, if we could see your whiteboard and yourself. So it was good to check with the audience. Thank you. We'll move on to the next.
Just one.
I'm sorry,
real
Roz.
quick thing. One real quick
Dr.
thing.
Lawana, please go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I thought you did a great presentation, but you asked about the marker, so I'm going to comment on that since everybody else is giving you the kudos. You might want to use one that's a little bit thicker, because I could see it, but I have my glasses on, and if I don't have my glasses on, it's a little difficult for me to make out and it might be somebody else who has that problem as well. But other than that, I thought you did an excellent job. The fact that you made me feel good anyway. Thank you. So I wasn't going to say anything because I thought, well, that might not look too good, but you know what? That's okay. You did a great job. I enjoyed your presentation and your suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'd like to turn conduct of the meeting over to our table topics master for today, Randy Powell.
OMG, I'm up on stage. I thought we had another speaker. Well, let me tell you, it's all about you, and I want to share a little bit with you about avatars. We had an awesome guest speaker at our last Envision Success Live event, and Stephen Beaver came in from Dallas, Texas, and shared some information about avatars. Now, I know that each and every one of us, if we're in business and we have clients, we have prospects, we have people that we want to get to and hang out with, and we want to have raving fans, we might want to think about our avatar. That is, who's the person that we would want to have in our circle? Who is it that we're trying to get to and to sell to and to offer and to help and all that great stuff? Any of those words bother you, then I'm sorry, but entrepreneurs are in business. You're in business to make money, and that's the bottom line. So when you think about your avatar, most people think incorrectly. They think the opposite. So let's correct the thought about what is an avatar. What does your ideal client look like? Your ideal client looks and sounds like you. Now that sounds kind of strange. It's not about them. It's all about you. So let me give you a couple of real quick examples of what we're talking about. And I have time to ask a question of 4 people. So I'm going to first start because Taya has not been involved. She didn't hear Stephen Beaver. So I'm going to ask you one question. What do you like to talk about, Taya?
Thank you for that question. What do I like to talk about? Well, I must say mental health. I mean, that is my job, but that is my passion. To be more specific, my niche has been with couples and marriage. I specifically use the Gottman method, and I just appreciate when couples work, when the majority of the time couples are challenged by conflict and confrontation, but when they develop the skills to learn how to dialogue with one another and be able to address issues that are long-standing and they last and they love, then that's what is my jam, is a word that I hear. So yes, that is my thing, talking about mental health, but keeping couples, keeping families together. Thank you.
Awesome. April, what are your favorite hobbies?
Thank you so much for that question. I have many hobbies, but I'll stick to 3. One of my favorite hobbies is learning foreign language. I think it helps I'm fascinated with people and understanding people's stories, what makes them tick, why do they do what they do? And I also love systems. So language for me combines my love for people and connecting with people along with systems of words. So I have a passion for studying languages. That's one of my hobbies.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Another hobby that I have is to watch movies, particularly with my mom. We both have very differing perspectives on life and different things, but it helps me to understand how she thinks, how I think, and I have a passion and hobby for bridging across generations. So I love to talk to people, again, of different ages. The main point of all of my hobbies are people. I love people, and I love to study people, understand why they do what they do, and how to make things work. So that is my hobby. Thank you.
Werner, what are your favorite sports?
Favorite sports? It's actually an interesting approach that I had when I was in high school. Instead of watching sports, because I had a friend who was so glued to the television set when sports was on, he didn't even know I existed in the room. And I noticed that is something I could also fall into. So I made a decision to get a sandwich and a tennis racket. At school, during lunch, go out there, munch on the sandwich with the left hand and bat that ball with the right hand. And it made a world of a difference to me. I realized, I would really rather go out there myself. In fact, I was at the dentist a few years ago, and it was quite apparent that some of the assistants there, well, there were a bunch of students, interns, I guess, and they did appear to look like they needed a little bit of exercise. And I don't know how the topic came up, but I was just commenting on it, saying, I don't understand people, how they can sit there, munch potato chips and drink beer and watch somebody else get the exercise on television. I would rather go out there myself. It feels so good to run around on that field and kick that ball around. And the laughter was a little bit, at first, funny. And then afterwards, I heard a little bit of a guilty feeling in their voices. But doing it yourself, there's nothing like it. Tennis is my favorite. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. So what did all three of those individuals have in common? Did anybody pick up on it? What they had in common was they shared stories. And the question wasn't about stories. It was about what specifically the question was, which is, what is your favorite hobby? So your favorite hobby is one thing. What is your favorite hobby? It's sewing. Very specific. An avatar is all about creating trust, having your raving fans and people who want to do business with you or hang out with you trust you. Know, like, and trust. An avatar has to do with creating trust. You create trust the deeper you dig down and narrow into, as someone said, I think it was Taya, your niche. So specifically asking yourself questions. Who do you like to talk to? What do you like to talk about? Do you like to talk about religion? Do you have kids? Do you want to talk? Do you like talking about politics? What pet peeves do you have? What hot buttons? All these things lead down to having what Stephen referred to as a skinny avatar. We can't serve everybody. We can't love everybody. We can't do everything. The way we affect the world is by narrowing down our niche very, very tightly, even more tightly than Miss Reed mentioned. I could go deeper and deeper and deeper by asking her another 10 or 15, 20 questions to really get specific about who you want to have into your, let's call it your space. That's how you get very specific, by asking those detailed questions. And what happened is Dr. Luana Parker went through that process with Stephen, and she probably got a lot clearer focus on where she ought to be, or maybe where she should be paying attention. So Nez, I'm going to ask you one final question, and it's going to have to do with being very specific. Are you ready? Is Nez with us?
Yes.
Awesome. Nez, if you can hear me, what do you not like doing in your spare time, in your free time?
Doing nothing. I want to be on the go. I want to be active. I want to be productive.
Okay, she's being very specific. Now, when she's looking to narrow her focus, she's going to be looking for people who have the same values that she carries. And so she's the person that's always on the go, always looking to be around people, always looking to be very, very active. So she's not going to go looking for couch potatoes because they're not going to connect with her. They're not going to connect with her values. She's going to be looking for people who are on the go and have the same values as she has. Same with each and every one of us. So we all suffer the fat avatar, and that's why we have the skinny wallets. So all of the people in my mastermind were given a ebook, and we're going to share that ebook with you and make sure that you have it. It's all about having a skinny avatar and a fat wallet, and that's how you get there. My time is up, and I'm going to go back to the table, to the Toastmaster of the day, Roosevelt. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. That was good. And I like your analysis too. I'm going to start thinking about my choices and how that reflects on who I am and what I am. Next, I'd like to call on Dr. LaWanna Parker to give us a general evaluation of the meeting. And then we'll also ask our guest, Nez, to make some comments. Dr. LaWanna, please.
Thank you. I appreciate the fact that your confidence in me, despite being late. And that's the first thing that a general evaluator should never do, is be late. You're supposed to be early, which was my plan. At any rate, I've enjoyed everything I've heard today. I heard part of Bon's speech and listening to both Charles and Suzanne. Sorry, Suzanne. They gave great presentations. That each of them had something that could benefit us that we could walk away with and probably implement right away. I especially like Charles saying, whatever you learn, you have to have patience with it. Let it soak in slowly, because most of the times, I know for myself, I learn something and I want to do it right now. I want things to happen right now, and I'm frustrated when it doesn't. So thank you for reminding me. It takes patience. And that analogy about the roses and the orchid, I thought was great when you talked about anybody could grow roses, but orchids take time and patience. I know I have some roses around my house. I moved here 28 years ago, and I haven't done anything to them since I planted them originally, but they grow every year. Suzanne, your use of individual names, I thought that was great. You shared why you wanted to connect with each of those people and reminded us that we need to prioritize and incorporate what we learned. So that was great. All in all, the meeting was smooth sailing. There were no hiccups. And at this point, I'm going to take a lesson from my mentor when I first came into Toastmasters, when I said, I can't think of anything to tell them to improve on. He says, well, if you feel there's nothing for them to improve on, then say so. So I'm saying this morning, the meeting was great. I enjoyed every moment of it. And personally, I can't think of anything I could say to you that would make it even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. LaWanna. Thank you. Now, if I may hear from Nez, your comments about the meeting.
For a week now, I am in search, going around for looking for my club, something that I could own as that I would feel belonged, and I could say, finally, I found my home. I feel grateful. I admire everybody, and it's quite a great group because you would really feel the sincerity of each one taking their roles, and the speeches were great and the people are great. It's amazing to be here. Thank you so much for welcoming me.
Thank you, Nez. Please send, as VPM, I'd like you to join the club officially, and please put your email address in the chat and I'll send you the materials to join. Thank you so much and welcome aboard. You already feel like one of us, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like to hear from our timer, Mariatu Brown. And a summary of people's times for the speakers and the topics.
Okay, so for our topic, for those that shared their their business podcast and information about what their business is for, Taya went 32 seconds, Roz went 30 seconds, Charles went 15 seconds. Suzanne went 40 seconds. Doris went 45 seconds. Randall did 29. April, 25 seconds. Frankie did 33 seconds. Warren did 60 seconds. Deborah did 18 seconds. Bond did 54 seconds. Naz did, Dr. Parker did 45 seconds. Naz did 40 seconds. Rosbell, you did 35 seconds. For Charles's speech, it was 6 minutes, 30 seconds. Suzanne's speech was 7 minutes, 49 seconds. And Miss Lawanda did 1 minute and 57 seconds. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to time Randy's Toastmaster of the day, but that's what I got from everyone that spoke today.
That's great. Thank you, Marietta. Thank you. And now I'd like to return control of the meeting to our presiding officer and current president, Dr. Valencia Jones.
Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate you for the time that you took to attend the meeting today. And let's give Roosevelt a round of applause for the amazing job that she did, as we are grateful to her. Please check the District 12 news for events that are coming up. We have makeup training this week on Thursday. There's also a training on Friday. In addition to that, there's Speakers Bureau tonight. If you don't know about Speakers Bureau, if you're looking to hear longer speeches, to receive your qualified speaker, such as a few of us that are online, then you can attend Speakers Bureau. Are there any other announcements from anyone in the club?
I put the, I did put the link in there for the ebook from Stephen Beaver. So you might want to copy that.
Thank you very much.
Copy that and paste it somewhere so you can download it.
Thank you very
If you
much,
have any
Randy. We
problems with it, just
appreciate
let me
you for
know.
your resources.
Yep.
So please see the ebook that he put in the chat. And with that in mind, everything looks great. I would like to officially adjourn our first meeting of the Toastmasters year. We're so happy that you were able to attend. Give yourselves a hand as well.
Congratulations. Great meeting.
Yes.
All right.
We did it.
We did it.